Hey guys, what is up? Swim here, and today I wanted to show you guys real quick the deck that I got to Masters with. So we climbed for, it was a 2-day climb from D4 to Masters. We went from D4 to D2 on one day, took about 8 or 9 hours, and then D2 to Masters the next day, and that took about 8 hours, that one. So with the 2-day climb, we started with Dawnspiders. Actually, this was how we climbed to D2. I'm actually going to show you both decks because honestly, these are both like kind of top decks. So you know what, this is actually two decks I used to get to Masters, right? And the reason I switched off isn't because of anything wrong with this deck, but it's because I had basically finished editing it, right? This is how I play card games effectively. Like I'm a deck builder at heart. When I feel like a deck is finished, that is when I stop playing it and start playing something else, which is usually the opposite of how most people work. Like I don't like playing decks that are fully refined, right? Because it just feels like there's not anything I can contribute to them. I want to move on to a new project, start something else, right? So I started with Dawnspiders, basically, and it was a little unrefined. I needed to tweak out just a couple of things, but this is kind of my Dawnspiders 2.0 deck. Now, you guys might remember Dawnspiders from, the first couple of days of launch, and it was a very prominent deck early on, and fell off due to basically being kind of phased out in the meta. It wasn't really teching in the right way against the Elusives, so we ended up coming back to it on stream and rehashing effectively most things about it. Actually, we changed a ton about this list. Basically going more in the fearsome direction, since basically everyone agrees fearsome is really strong. So we have more of that package with, of course, more spidery, arachnoid horror, and frenzied skitterer, as opposed to just kind of like the mid-range cursed keeper package, which proved to be just a little too unreliable. And here we've got some, champion like semi-finishers with 1 Thresh and 2 Hecarim, as well as 1 Rekindler, just to top things off. We're also down to 2 Dawnspeakers because even though this card is quite powerful, it's a meta call, and drawing 2 Dawnspeakers actually feels pretty bad. You really don't want more than 1. So I still like the card. Some people have already cut it, and that's fine. There's nothing really like wrong. You can run this card, or you don't have to, but it's still a power card, especially like in certain meta environments. And I'm not gonna do a full cut quite yet. And one big thing you might notice is Purify. Now I'll go on the record saying Purify is the card that I was the most wrong about out of all of my predictions. This card is actually pretty powerful. It's a solid meta tech option. Now you might be wondering, wait, but remove all text and keywords from a follower, how is that good? Well, the way you should think about this card is kind of like Demacian Deny, if that makes sense, right? I mean, we all know Deny. Deny is a super powerful Ionia card, and can stop any fast or slow card. But how I explain this, typically on my stream is I will, say, okay, well, Purify, even though it can't stop, not necessarily the same spells that we can here, what Purify can do is it can stop most burst spells. Because when you look at what burst spells really represent in the game, mostly they're buffs, right? Like if someone plays Mark of the Isles, I can kind of deny it with Purify. If somebody plays Standalone, I can deny it with Purify, right? Back to back, I can only hit half of that, but that's pretty good. Repost, this is a super common card. Like it's all over Elusives, like it's all over Fiora decks. It's deniable with Purify. They play Repost, I Purify, and it's gone, right? And that's pretty powerful, right? Even Frostbites, I can Purify and get my attack back in a lot of situations. There's basically a lot that this card will do. It can't be used on champions, which is a fairly big limitation, and, it's why it's not as big as Deny. It can also do, you can take off Commander Ladros's Death Wish ability, so he stops coming back. In certain situations, that can be okay. But basically, it's just kind of like a versatile catch-all. And the fact that it is at burst speed and can counter things at burst speed is what made me underrate this card so much, because those two facts are huge, absolutely gigantic. So yeah, Purify ends up being like a sweet Demacian tech. Don't get me wrong, when I say Demacian Deny, it's not quite as good as Deny overall. Like, it's a 2 of right now. I might cut it down to a 1 of in a bit. It's definitely a bit more of a meta call, but hey, this card is not, I wouldn't call this card a tech card, right? It's not just a tech card, right? So yeah, this is Dawnspiders 2.0, and both lists I'm going to link in the description if you want to import the decks or check out updated versions, because of course I'm always updating these as I go, so the links in Mobalytics will be updated in the pinned comments, and you can get a more newer version of the list. All right, so we're save changes. Wait, did I accidentally make any changes? All right, let's go ahead and go to the deck that I ended up climbing with at the end. This was what we used on, it was like not the entirety of day 2, but it was the Elusive Burn for D2 to Masters. So this is a deck that basically has a very similar concept to the original Elusive deck. So you guys might remember there was about, God, it was like a week and a half ago now, almost 2 weeks, where Elusive deck started to like really come on strong. I think a lot of people were still playing like the Freljord. The Freljord version was really popular at the time. That version is like almost dead. I never see that anymore. But I basically came out and made a Demacia version of this list, and I mean there were some other people that did it, but most people, like almost everyone, was playing the Freljord version. The Demacia version of the list is standing strong, and this is basically the one that I think right now people can all agree is much stronger. I think Demacia is a very underrated color in general right now. I see a lot of people just like running a lot of other things, but I really like what Demacia adds to the meta in a lot of ways. But yeah, basically, I mean, you guys know this concept. It's like, come on, it's just you jam elusives, you buff them up, you make them big, and you slap the opponent in the face with them, and they can't block you, because you know elusives is a little unfair right now, with especially with like Kinko Lifeblade, etc. So you just make this card big, you can race anything. A couple of changes this time around. This is a different version than we used a week and a half ago. That's why it's called Elusive Burn 2.0, and it's retailored to the meta in the same way that Dawnspiders is. It's really important to understand that these are mostly meta-based changes. There are a couple of changes that I would consider just like straight up upgrades, like that was just wrong in my original version and it's right now. But most of the changes in both lists that have been done are basically responses to meta environments, right? Like a lot of people are always asking me, Swim, what's a good deck? Swim, what's the best deck? And it's like, it's not really about good or best. It's about, does my card function? Does it do its job against the decks we're seeing a lot of right now? And it's not just now, it's also, you know, what we are effectively, like where we're playing at, because like different levels of ladder will change a lot as well. So one thing we have is Zed. Now, if you watch my stream, you'll know, you'll be like, Zed, what's that doing here? I remember you saying Zed was bad. Well, the basic premise of elusives early on was effectively, I'm going to deny your opponent's trump blockers and break their value. Zed suffers from that very hard, because it just revalues the opponent's blockers that you are otherwise denying. But in this new meta, because we have A, elusives, you know, and B, now that Fearsome has really come into its own in the past several days, now nobody is running small trump blockers. And what that means is that suddenly Zed looks a lot better, right? And we're already on the standalone from before. When you get that like Zed into standalone, that can be like a big matchup swing as well. One Relentless Pursuit seems like a good ratio. I mean, it's really bad in the elusive mirror and really great outside of that. So this is basically just going to be a deck that's going to be plowing down opponents, right? And similar to Dawnspiders, we ended up with 2 Purifies. Again, maybe that could go down to 1 of, we'll see, but that's where the list is at right now. And the reposts as well do very well for this kind of list. They happen to do fairly well in the mirror, just in general. This is definitely a bit of a power card, the ability to like swing combats in ways that can kind of only get countered by Purify is really strong, right? Okay, and there's not too much more to say about this particular version of the list. We added in Will of Ione from the original Elusive Burn, but this is a very strong elusive list. I would say the best one, and it's going to do pretty great for you on ranked ladder. If you want to get in on this, you gotta abuse it before any nerfs come in. I can pretty much guarantee you this deck is gonna get, I mean, both decks I'm showing you are gonna get slapped with some amount of nerfs. However, I believe there's not going to be a patch for about 2 weeks, which means there's ample time to get a lot of wins with these decks before anything has the chance to come in. And of course, you know, even if they get nerfed, maybe it'll, you know, who knows if it'll be a nuke or just a slap on the wrist, you know what I'm saying? Alright guys, these are the 2 decks that I used to hit Masters, and today I'm recording this right before my stream. So today, at time of recording, I don't know when this is getting posted, that's a mystery to me, but at time of recording, in an hour from now, I'm going to be probably using them to try to climb to Masters rank 1 NA. So we'll see if we can go ahead and get number 1 NA. Alright boys, that's gonna be it for me. I'll see you guys next time.